And how did the professors, I mean, were you treated any differently because you were
No,
older?
you know, I was
anything?
afraid that I would be, because back then there were very few older people in school. Now I think it's pretty common that older people have gone back, but I was treated so well at TCC, and then when I went to TCU, I was so concerned that the students would reject me. They didn't. They just welcomed me, and it was wonderful. I really don't think that anybody treated me. Some of the professors I got to be friends with because we were of an age.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't subjected to poor treatment or being ignored because I was old.
And I think that really says something about you too, Bobbie, because you go with an open mind and meeting people, and you're very accepting of people, so that when you do go to a new group, you're not, you don't have a chip on your shoulder and saying, I bet they won't like me, that kind of thing. She really is good about that, about opening herself up and being accepting of other people. And
Well, thank you.
you're welcome. I'm not sure I said that exactly right, but I know what I mean.
What was your biggest hurdle? Like, now with us, it might be the computer, because perhaps we haven't kept up with the
Well, I
computer
got my
age or
first
something.
computer. It was a lot different from the computers of today. But that's one reason why I am so pro-computer, because I started using that kind of help when I went back to school. My biggest hurdle was I still had back trouble, and I still had some pain issues, and I was older, and carrying tons of books and walking, it seemed like miles around the campuses. That my physical, and being tired, because I stayed up late and studied, and I had to work, and expenses go on no matter what you're doing, and I wasn't old enough to be on Social Security yet, so when I graduated, I went on Social Security at 62, because you can do it at 62, but not until I was 62 on May the 8th, and I graduated on May the 15th.
That's great.
So, but money was the biggest problem, and then just being physically tired. Because I went year round. I went to get a degree. I had gone one semester, or part of a semester, when I was 17, and then I got married, and I quit school, but I didn't go in and withdraw. I was pregnant, and I was throwing up all the time, and so I just didn't care whether I went in and withdrew. And when I started back to school, they asked me if I had had any college, and I said yes, but they failed me the whole semester. And I graduated with honors, just barely, but I started out with a minus grade point average because I had failed a semester of college at 17. So that was something to overcome, because I made the dean's list all but one semester in all of the time I was back in school. And when I was a kid and went to school, I hated to study, but I loved it. I would go back today if I had the money and could physically do it and get my master's. I love going to school.
Just sick. Maybe you'll start again. For
Maybe
some
so.
unknown reason.
Maybe so.
And what were your masters in? What would you have gotten then? You have to excuse me, I don't hear that well.
That's okay.
if you went back to school
If I went
after a
back to
period of
school, I'd
time.
get a master's in English, writing
English.
emphasis,
Mhm.
and I would try to finish. I wrote a novel when I was at TCU. In my senior year, I had what they called a direct study. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but I worked with one professor, and I wrote a romance novel called Chasing Cupid. And I sent it off to Harlequin, and they read it, and they sent it back and told me to rewrite it because I hadn't put the heroine in every scene. I had other people in there, and it's still in a folder. I haven't rewritten it yet, and I'm celebrating my 20th year. Did I tell you all this? I graduated 20 years ago next Wednesday from TCU, May the 15th, 1993. So my friend Nancy Brown, who graduated from college the same day I did, and I are going out to celebrate next Wednesday.
Oh, well,
Wonderful.
that's a wonderful story.
It is.
Thank
And
you.
you done good, didn't
Yes,
you?
he did.
Thank you.
Yes. You're an inspiration to all of us.
That's right. Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. She
So
has-
this is an opportunity to talk about unfulfilled yearnings or dreams
Yeah,
or.
well, this little card said, "Where are you stuck?" And what it means is where did you want to go, or what did you want to do that you got stuck and never got to do? And I figured that I was stuck for 40 years wanting to get a college degree.
Yeah.
And
Well, you know, I can tell something like that. When I was 26, I moved to Las Vegas, and my dreams and my actions thus far were to stay 3 years and save my money, and then plan where I would move next. I was a hopper. I'd hop from place to place. And so I had decided when I went there that I would be there for 3 years and no more, and maybe even only one. This was at the Nevada test site. And of course, within 2 months, I met a man and fell madly in love. And so we had a romance for 4 years. And I finally, by now I'm approaching 30, and I thought, where are we going? And I said, what are your plans with me? And he said, well, someday we'll get married. And I said, well, okay, I'm gonna go ahead with my other plans then. So I thought my next trip I wanted to be to Australia. I was gonna move there and live there. And so I got a passage on a cargo passenger ship.
Yeah.
They don't have them well, they do have them now, but it's not anything like then. It was a fun adventure. But, so I booked my passage on this cargo passenger ship, and it was sailing in a few months. And so I told my boyfriend about it, and he said, you're not going anywhere. And next month, on the headlines of the Nevada Test Site News was my picture, and and my first name's Virginia, and I was Virginia, and it said, Virginia sails for Australia. So
There you are.
that put it in concrete. I knew then I had to go. I was already pretty well convinced. But anyway, to shorten that part of the story, I left him behind, got on the ship, and it took 45 days to get there. And it was a wonderful, wonderful trip. It was a Norwegian ship, and there were 10 passengers. And I had just taken bridge lessons, but I told people I'm only taking these lessons because you need a fourth, but I'm never gonna play it. I'm not gonna sit and play cards all my life. And so when I boarded the gangplank, went up the gangplank and heard these three, a man and two elderly women standing at the top saying, "Do you play bridge? Do you play bridge?" And I said, "No, I'm sorry, I don't play bridge." So anyway, there was a little 12-year-old boy on board, and he and I became great friends. I was the youngest woman on the ship, and so we took over the ship. And we could do anything. I mean, we could steer the boat, we could do all kinds of things, and we would plan
Did you
things
ever
for
play
the
bridge?
other people. No, I did not play bridge, no.
But they did find a fourth.
Well, yeah, the captain, he always has, the
Oh.
captain always has to know.
You steered the boat while the captain played bridge.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, the ship was steered by the big
Yeah, that,
wheel. And so the captain was showing me what to do, and he said, "Now just hold it steady right here." Well, of course, I didn't hold it steady, and all of a sudden we're jerking. So he locked it back in gear, and then he dragged me back to the back of the boat, and there was a big S in the water. And he said, "You did that." And so that night at dinner, he was telling people about the adventure of the day, and the Chinese cook, waiter was serving the food, and he says, "Ah, you the one who spilled the soup." But anyway, I turned 30 on the ship. We docked in Singapore, and they put us up for 3 days because they had to put the boat in dry dock, and so my boyfriend called, "Please come home. Please, I'm gonna have a ticket waiting for you to fly home." So anyway, I'm gonna skip all the rest because I did fly home. Took me 15 days to fly back to the US, but, because I stopped everywhere I could. And our marriage lasted 10 years. And I have always resented the fact that I guess I put the resentment on him, but I now resent myself for letting it all happen that way, but the fact that I never knew what it was like to live in Australia. And it seems like such a wonderful country. Well, I had carried this along with me, because we broke up in '77. That's a lot of years to have this burden on you. And all of a sudden, Oprah was showing her Australia trip. And I thought, I could go to Australia if I wanted to go to Australia. Why am I resenting all this? And so I finally lost that burden. You know, I took it off and said, if I want to go to Australia, I'll go to Australia. And if I don't go, it's not that big of a deal. But it's funny how we
get stuck
we
on
build,
something.
yeah, we get stuck under things,
Yeah.
and we can't get out. And it took me a long time to get past,
So you
to
can't
get
go?
beyond that. No,
Oh, you
haven't
still-
gone yet, but who knows?
yeah, you may go
Who
next
knows?
Now, what
Sunday.
was your job at the Nevada test site?
I was always clerical. I knew how to type, thank God, because I never went to school other than high school, and I said, thank God I learned how to type, because I typed all my life, and so I was a secretary in different areas of the test site.